I'm going to begin, ladies, and I don't know if there's any gentlemen here or not. Not going to scroll through the list. Let's begin. So before I begin, once again, if you scroll to the top of the messages section down here, which seems to have gotten so small that I can barely see it myself. Oh, okay, here we are. Oh, people asking questions. I didn't see it. So the donation link, somebody was asking, Audra. Audra, it's at the top. Scroll all the way up on the I guess just call this a chat window, and it's pinned right to the top of it. Oh, and somebody already took care of that. All right, so I probably just should have read. All right, so let's do this. Let's explain amino acids. Okay, that's all right. So here we are, folks. What are amino acids? So amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And you hear that so much when you hear about branch chain amino acids, branch chain. Yeah, that's right. BCCAA. And that bodybuilders use to build protein so they can build muscle. But it's so much more than that. There's so many other types of proteins. Our neurotransmitters are really types of proteins. When you think these molecules, our DNA creates protein, stimulates protein production. It is part of our immune system. Everything. It's about energy for cells. It's about the neurotransmitters, the hormones, repairing tissues, breaking down foods, or our metabolism, our our skin, our hair, our nails. So it's about those tissues as well. It's about everything. But when you just to give you an example of how far-reaching these amino acids are, there's not a protein that's made within the human body. Every function in the human body relies upon proteins. There's no exception. So when you think of COVID and you think of spike protein, well, we're going to hear later on as we go through this about glycine and L-aspartic acid, sorry. Those two are components of spike protein. That's actually how it's made. So every protein in the human body consists of molecules of these amino acids. That's what amino acids are. That's what amino acids do. So now let's talk about whether they're essential or not essential. Because there are essential amino acids and they're not essential. Nine of them can't be made in the human body, so that makes them essential. So they're essential to get in our foods or to get through supplementation. That's what essential amino acids means. Non-essential means that our body can make them themselves. It doesn't mean that our body is making enough of them, but it means that our body can make them ourselves. Somebody's waving. Allison Davis. You can't hear? Is anybody else all of a sudden having a problem?
A lot of noise.
Can anybody else hear me?
There's a lot of feedback.
A lot of noise.
Yeah, can you please
No.
Everybody needs to
Hang on, let
mute
me
their
pull this down again. All right. So now that I can see all the beautiful faces, can you hear me? Yes or no?
We hear you, but there's a background noise.
Everybody needs
a
to
lot
mute
of
their
people that are not muted.
A puzzled-looking face. All right. So let me turn it
Everybody
on.
needs to mute their mics.
All right. How about now? That should be
Everybody
beating the ears off of you.
Everybody needs to mute their mic.
Well, God darn it. What the heck is going on?
I think it's coming from Marianne Parsons. Her mic is not muted, and there's a lot of noise coming from her.
microphone right in my mouth here. Get over here.
Tim,
How about this? Is this better? No. What the heck is going on? Check my microphone. Previously. Is that correct?
Can you please
Just
mute
shake your head.
everyone again?
You can speak. I can't hear you.
I'm gonna text.
Oh, how
Tim,
did
can you
guys
hear
all
me?
unmute your microphone? Hang on a sec. Maybe I need to turn on mine. All right, now speak.
Marianne Parsons has her mic unmuted and there's like a vacuum going on behind it and we can't hear anything.
Well, there, I just muted her.
There we go. Yes, that's
All right.
much better.
Can you hear? You can hear me now. All right. So Marianne gets a spanking following the broadcast. Would you like me to start again, or have we?
Yes, we couldn't hear anything up until this point.
All right. So I'm going to start again, and I'm going to spank Marianne later. All right. So let's go back. All right. So. All right. So amino acids. What are they? Okay. Whoever has your microphone on, turn it off now. I can hear you talking. All right. Just 1 second, folks. I'm going to find a way to shut that off altogether so that. Boom, boom, boom. Scroll, 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 scroll. All right, everybody's microphone is off, and I'm not seeing how to do it this time for some reason. Enable chat, yes. Enable for attendees, yes. Okay, I may have had to do it in advance, but okay, that's fine. I should have got one of you to be a moderator to watch them and kill their microphones for me. Okay, so let's start again. So what are amino acids? Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And when I say protein, I mean all protein in the human body. Okay, Allison, you're leaning in. Can you hear me? Are you leaning in like you can't hear me, or you can hear me? Okay, 2 thumbs up. All right. All right, perfect. All right, so the building blocks of proteins. And when we think of proteins are responsible for every function of the human body. It starts at the DNA. The DNA produces proteins that signal or send the messages for every function within the body. You think about metabolism. You can think about repairing tissues. You can think about your hormones, your neurotransmitters, the function of every organ and gland in your body, your hair, your skin, your nails. They're made up of proteins, but they're the small pieces that when combined in the right manner, each one makes a different protein. And that's what amino acids do. Amino acids are the molecules that make up proteins. And just to give you an example of that, just to show you a far-reaching protein, when we talk about COVID, we talk about the spike protein for COVID. Well, spike protein, and we'll get to this later when we talk about these individual amino acids, are made up of aspartic acid and glycine amino acids. It's two of the main amino acids that make up the spike protein. So I just want you to know every protein in the human body and I'm going to get into more functions, and I'm going to get into explaining and breaking down each one of these amino acids as we go, and talking about what each of them do. So that's what amino acids are. They are the molecules that make up proteins in our body. They maintain life for us. So, all righty. Boop. Now we'll move on. So now let's talk about essential versus non-essential versus conditional amino acids. So I'm only really in this program or course or classes, whatever you want to call it. I'm only going to talk about the top 20. I'm not going to talk about the final 10 because I want us to walk before we run. Those last 10 are more complex, and they really need their own section because much greater explanation of them needs to occur. So we'll cover the top 20 that even goes beyond what the bodybuilders talk about, far beyond it, actually. So we have the essential amino acids, and an essential amino acid is something that our bodies can't make. It's what we get from food or what we get from supplementation. One or the other is the only way to get them. And then we have non-essential amino acids, meaning that the body makes or produces that amino acid all on its own. And we can think of one amino acids like L-glutathione. Glutathione. There's one that the body makes. Essential means we need to get it from food. Non-essential means our body's able to make it. But just because our body is able to make it doesn't mean that it's always capable of making enough or to produce or create enough of it, depending on circumstance, whether our environmental exposures, or the stress in our lives, our diet, or able to offset whatever's going on in our life, our immune system being challenged, or physical injury, severity of injury. So we may not be able to make enough of it. There's amino acids like L-Alanine, which we'll talk about a couple of videos from now, a couple of classes from now, that is actually turned into a hypertension drug. It takes care of hypertension. There are many amino acids that are included in pharmaceutical drugs because they're as functional as the pharmaceutical drugs. Anyway, that's what we have for amino acids. So the conditional amino acids, again, it talks about under certain conditions. And you probably need to get them from food or you need to get them from supplementation. They're very specific and they're real powerful treatments there. So, and that's why I really want to wait on that until we first walk before we run. So now, I kind of really have already gone through this, but this will give us I'll give you a bit more information. That's amino acids are critical to health. They support your brain, the function of your brain, your neurotransmitters, your dopamine, your serotonin, serotonin, GABA. Thank you. I went blank. You'll see about GABA. Actually, the first one here we're going to talk about supports GABA production. So it produces energy. So it makes the proteins that take carbohydrates and turn it into energy. And you think of ATP and cellular energy, that our ability to fight off infection, to repair, to heal, to mend, to regenerate. It boosts the immune system. So antibodies. So spike protein is really an antibody, but it's just one specific. So they become part of those proteins, the proteins that are antigens and antibodies. They help with metabolism. They can break down glucose. They can break down carbohydrates. They can break down fats. And sugars. So, and yeah, they are the building blocks for muscle. for muscles as bodybuilders use them. But I'm not really interested in talking about you building muscle. I'm interested in talking about you building health. So while I do have that included there, so it helps you repair muscle, so we can still tear muscle. It doesn't have to be about bodybuilding, because I don't think bodybuilding is a healthy practice. I support those who want to do it if they want to do it properly, and they want to do it in a manner that will protect them from their own choices. So they support every function in the human body. So, boom, boom, boom. I've already covered this as well. So some people say there's only 10 amino acids, which I didn't write there. Some people say there's 20, but there's actually 30. There are 30 amino acids. Actually, there's more than 30, but there's 30 that are, there's actually hundreds or thousands of them. But the functional understood are, there's like exactly 30 of them. But we're going to cover the top 20, and then we're going to learn. So those who, and I'm glad I can see faces. Do you think you understand now what amino acids are and what they do? Head shakes. Anybody? Any knows? Everybody understand? All right, good, because I think this is going to be about the end of this. So boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it is. So there, I say thanks for watching. It's the yes, I'm silly, guys. So yeah, it's just thank you for watching. Blah 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 blah. Now we're going to get into the first amino acid, and the first amino acid we're going to talk about today. Boop 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 boop. Because this was so short and there was so much, so easy to explain. I decided I would do both as one class. And today we're going to talk about, I missed something. Oh, L-Alanine. There we are. So L-Alanine. Well, now I have to go right back to where I just was. Boop, 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 boop. Turn off your microphone, Carmen. Grr. Okay, I just do this another way. Okay. So, L-Alanine. So it's a non-essential amino acid, meaning that the body can produce it itself. And it plays a role in energy production. It also helps convert sugar, so it converts your glucose to energy. And that gives you your cellular energy. But it also helps manage nitric acid or nitric acid, whatever. Nitrogen regulates the blood vessels, whether they are contracted, whether they to relax them or contract them. This one is good for hypertension. Well, I'm going to show you all the different things, but anything with that regulates nitrogen, every one of these that regulate nitrogen you're going to find are good for hypertension. They'll be beneficial in people with dementia. They'll be beneficial in people with Alzheimer's. But the reason that they're beneficial is because they're allowing more free blood flow. And it will help get rid of excess nitrogen as well from the liver, so it doesn't damage the liver. So that's the main function of L-Alanine in the human body. So what does L-Alanine help with in terms of health issues? Well, here we are. Specifically hypoglycemia, not hyperglycemia or diabetes, but hypoglycemia. because it helps regulate blood sugars and helps prevent them from dropping too far. It doesn't bring them down. It prevents them from dropping too far. And if you've ever taken a supplement like chromium, and you've had your blood sugars drop, which is quite common when you take too much of it, especially if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, you take a chromium supplement, it will drop. Your blood sugars will drop in Canadian value to a 1 or a 2, and you'll come very near a hypoglycemic coma. And I've seen people severely injured by these programs like Isogenics, Body by Vi, if any of you remember that one. That the main ingredient in them was a $9 chromium supplement, and the rest was just BS to try to explain why it was $300 a month. But it was really based around chromium, but that chromium has the ability in the excessive amounts to stimulate episodes of hypoglycemia. This is one in L-Alanine that could help prevent that. And in diabetics as well, it'll help prevent it from going too low. So as we said about liver detoxification, it gets the nitrogen out of the muscle tissue as well as from the liver, and reduces ammonia. Very, 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 very important when you want to reduce ammonia. If you look up the signs of ammonia toxicity, and any of you who are practitioners who've dealt with ammonia toxicity because of liver issues, here is going to be one of your go-tos. That'll be L-Alanine. And no, I have no plans to sell any of this, folks. There's no financial benefit for me here. You guys get it. There's going to be all kinds of people that are going to claim that some are better than the other. They're all going to be full of crap. It's really not. So yeah, detoxification of the liver, natural, as the liver is supposed to and intended to be detoxified to provoke the liver to do its proper job to detoxify. That's what L-Alanine will do. This is the type of liver detoxification that should be occurring and not forced. Stimulate, support the function of the liver in order for it to do itself, because our livers were meant to detoxify themselves. This is one that will help with that, and one of the functions of it is just that. So now let's look at cognitive function. And here, once again, I talked earlier about blood pressure, hypertension. But let's talk about the benefits for cognitive function. Again, because it turns glucose into energy, then that becomes essential fuel for your brain and every cell in your body, but brain, including your brain cells. And it's a stable energy that helps keep you focused and mentally sharp. So anybody, think of this for people who have brain fog, who are claim that they have brain fog or chemo brain, or somebody who's just come off of chemo and their brain is just so different. The thoughts, the ideologies change so deeply. If you've ever worked with anybody with chemo brain, it's devastating to have known them before and then to know them after they've when they begin suffering from chemo brain. They're just completely different people that you don't even recognize anymore. Anyway, so they do support mood and they do support calmness. So think of this in people with anxiety, because what it does is L-Alanine makes glutamate, and glutamate is a cofactor and the most significant component of GABA. What does GABA do? GABA relaxes the nervous system. It calms your ass down. That's what it does. But GABA is also known as the happy neurotransmitter or happy hormone, or we can call it a happy protein, whatever you'd like to call it. It's because it is all three. So it helps reduce the feelings of anxiety, promotes relaxation, but also supports both alertness and calm. So it does make us aware as well. Okay. Sorry, I just heard the rain beating against the window. And along with protecting the brain cells, L-Alanine is also an antioxidant. So it will prevent the oxidization of the free radicals to do their thing. I'm going to tell you something, and I don't know, not too many people take this approach, but you'll find for anybody who's a practitioner who's listening here today, if you have somebody who suffers from like generalized anxiety or chronic stress, one or the other, you may want to try a high dose antioxidant with them. I've done that on many of occasions, and it's worked extremely well. Not all the time, but enough of the time that it's something that you may want to consider. Because when you eliminate the oxidization of the free radicals, or the free radicals to create the oxidization, you eliminate the pressure, the inflammation within the human brain, the same inflammation that blocks your neurotransmitter receptors. So we just talked about serotonin, GABA, etc. So that's what it does for cognitive function. And wow, is it ever raining all of a sudden? I hope that's rain and not ice pellets. I don't know. Pounding out there. So another use for L-Alanine is for muscle atrophy. So we can think of this in seniors, but we can also think of this for people who broke a leg and they just have a cast on. And you know you're going to get some atrophy. And when they finally get their cast off, one leg or one arm is going to be bigger than the other. You can prevent that, the muscle wasting, with L-Alanine. It's one thing that does work very well. There's many studies. Everything I'm saying here today, there's a plethora of studies that support everything that I'm saying. And did I list them all? No. That would be an awful lot of work. But you're all welcome to go to the PubMed database and find it for yourself. So I don't know why I have the heart and lungs there for muscle atrophy, but that's okay. So there's some muscles in the picture, in the little image there on the side as well. So yeah, in muscle atrophy, this L-Alanine is something you may want to consider. Chronic fatigue syndrome. I believe there's about 200 studies that have been done now that have tested L-Alanine for its ability to relieve chronic fatigue syndrome. And once again, we're going back to the ability of L-Alanine and its production or its conversion of glucose to energy, that it does that. So I think there's over 200 studies that prove its effectiveness in treating it. So you can think about, whenever you see chronic fatigue, also think of fibromyalgia. My God, it's raining sideways. I don't know where this came from. It wasn't supposed to do this. You can hear it off the skylights. Anyway, I hope you can hear me over it because it's pretty loud here. You can hear me good? All right, good. So, now let's talk about the immune system. So L-Alanine, think of cancer, think of severe infections. Many amino acids stimulate the production of your most powerful white blood cells, that being your natural killer cells, your T cells. And they boost the body's defenses. And they'll talk about pathogens, but also against cancers. So really think about amino acids. If you're going to treat somebody with cancer, or if you're going to treat yourself with cancer, think about many of the amino acids, and I'll talk about them on a one-on-one basis. Thunder up there now. Yeah, very powerful in treating or preventing pathogenic infections and cancers. So, and of course, we can't forget the muscle. I'm flexing for you. You just can't see me. I hurt myself. I'm sorry. But it does. It helps aid in muscle repair and reduces muscle fatigue. So it helps the body after. So if you go for your long walk and you're kind of like, oh, I'm gonna pay for this tomorrow. Well, this might be something you want to consider because it will help you recover much faster. Your muscles recover much faster. So will your CIS files, but that's all right. And this brings us to the conclusion of the information on that, but not to the conclusion of everything, because I'm adding more information here. Because what's the good of telling you only what it's good with if I don't tell you how much to use and any contraindications? So let's first talk about contraindications. Who shouldn't be using L-Alanine? Very important to know. So, of course, anybody who's hypersensitive. But L-Alanine is one in which there are some known allergies to it. There's many that there aren't, but L-Alanine specifically, it is known and understood to have some people who may have allergies to it. Of course, pregnancy or breastfeeding, start no new treatment on anybody who's pregnant or breastfeeding, and never treat them outside of anything that is permissible by their OBGYN. So, kidney and liver disease, because almost all amino acids are processed in the kidney and livers. You special, you got a couple of livers there. The liver or kidneys. All right. But believe it or not, some of them will come with that same warning, yet they're known to be beneficial in the treatment of chronic kidney disease. Go figure. All right. So we've got through that, and now let's find out how much we should be using and how much would be too much. So when it comes to L-Alanine, the typical dosing is between 500 milligrams and 2,000 milligrams per day, or 2 grams. So yes, up to 2 grams is considered safe. Above 2 grams, and you're crossing what's called the toxicity threshold, in which you can have it can become toxic, and you can have negative effects from it, severe negative effects, and that might be diarrhea, that might be bloating. I don't think you're going to die from. Well, if you'd be really stupid, you could, I suppose, if you went and you took like 100,000 milligrams, and yeah. And there's people out there who'll do stuff like that. And there's people who have. But yeah, up to 2 grams. I wouldn't exceed 2 grams per day. And I would break up, whenever taking amino acids, I would break them up into 2 to 3 doses per day. Wow. That's lightning. Okay, thunder and lightning. Did you just see that? Well, you can't see that. I don't have my camera. Oh, here comes a big roll of thunder. I love being outside in that stuff. I love it. Anyway, so, and what do we have now? We have the conclusion. That is L-Alanine.